Hi everybody, Moms is back again with one more review for today. I am going to review one of my favorite distilleries, Penelope. And I am going to review one of my favorites from them, Penelope Rio. Now here's the thing. Anybody that I've talked to in the bourbon community either loves it or hates it. Nobody seems to fall in the middle. And this is the release from 2025 this year. Being new to the bourbon community, this is the first time I've ever been able to try a Penelope Rio, so I have nothing to compare it to when it comes to their previous releases. I want to give a shout out to my good friend Ajay in the Whiskey Weather community that I'm a part of. He bought it, didn't care for it, sold it to me less than the MSRP of $80. Now again, I found it all over the secondary market for well above the MSRP. I honestly, even though I'm really new to the bourbon community, I'm coming to have a huge disdain for the secondary market. And again, like I said, people either love it or hate it. Jack, I love you, Jack. He's part of the Whiskey Weather community. He hates on Penelope Rio. Now, let's get into it a little bit. The mash bill is 74% corn, 16% wheat, 7% rye, and 3% malted barley. They print right on the label that it's a straight bourbon whiskey finished in honey and Amburana barrels, and it's double cask strength. This comes in right at 98 proof, so it's a little on the low side, but you know, Penelope can be all over the place when it comes to their proofs. Now, as you can see, I have tried it a few times, and I absolutely love it, and it's one that I kind of have to keep out of sight, out of mind for myself. Otherwise, I don't think I'd still have more than 3/4 of the bottle left. So let's get right into it. Using my Kentucky Peerless little tasting blend, I guess you would call it, when I did my Louisville tour back in July. Did a tasting at Kentucky Peerless. Absolutely in love with Kentucky Peerless stuff. Highly recommend if you want to try their stuff. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I had never tried any of Kentucky Peerless stuff whenever I went to their tasting, and I loved it. And I forgot my ever famous napkin to wipe my bottle, so now it's all draining down. Anyway, so here we go. So right away on the nose, you definitely can pick up that I pick up the Amburana right away. It almost reminds me a little bit even with a hint of, I don't know, it's not really tequila because they didn't finish it in tequila cask, but it kind of comes across that way. But there's a butterscotch, cinnamon frosting, a little bit toasted oak, maybe even honeycomb. Y'all remember that cereal, right? But the nose is just, it's very pleasant. And shoot, I poured a little more in this than I wanted to for this video, so some of it will probably going back into the bottle because I love it so much, and I plan to savor it until they release it in 2026. All right, so let's see how it tastes. Right off the bat, it's like a snickerdoodle sweetness, completely like covers the palate. Where I'd said that honeycomb cereal on the nose, it's almost like it transfers into Honey Smacks cereal. Gosh, am I aging myself when I say that? Does anybody even know what those are? But it's the snickerdoodle that comes through for me more than anything, along with the sweetness to it. The finish, however, as as much as I say that, talking about the honeycomb on the nose, the honey smacks, on the finish, the finish is gentle. It's not heavy. I mean, at 98 proof, it's not going to be very heavy, but there's like a gentle, you get a little rice spice with it, a little cinnamon, slight toasted oak for me, and kind of like the burnt sugar, like they put on top of a creme brulee. But I mean, this again, this is one of my favorites from Penelope. But again, I'm hard pressed to find anything out of Penelope that I don't like to date. So I'll definitely do some more reviews of Penelope, because right now, if I had to pick some of my top distilleries for 2025, and being new to all this and never done any rankings in the past, and really just jumped into the deep end in January of this year into bourbon, and exploring and learning and trying to teach myself, and I realize that, the bourbon community is very diverse. Most of the people I've come across are, years into it, very experienced. I think what I want to try and do is be that newbie. I mean, honestly, at 9 months, I'm literally a toddler still in the bourbon community compared to others that have been doing this for years before I even considered it. I kind of want to try and come at this from, I think, the perspective of, I don't have a very well-developed nose. Nosing bourbons are one of the hardest things for me. It always ends up being like ethanol up front, and then I have to, reset my palate and nose by, sniffing skin or a shirt or something like that. So I think I want to try and come at this from somebody that may be like me and hasn't been in it very long and is still experimenting and still trying to find out, and just kind of take people along on a journey of what I've done and what I've discovered in the 9 months that I've been on this bourbon journey. When I go in, I go all in. I mean, when I decided to really start taking this seriously in January of 2025, I had, I think, 2 bottles of bourbon. I'm now up to 55. So I don't know if that's like overkill for a newbie, or, if it's like, really? It's like my first year I bought over, 200 bottles. But, regardless, I definitely want to try and make more content coming from somebody that is new to the community, trying to pass along some of my lessons learned that I have, either learned on my own in 9 months, or, have learned and picked up on from, the whiskey weather bourbon community that I'm a part of here in Cincinnati, or just, talking with other, bourbon enthusiasts, whether I, be at New Riff Distillery in Bellevue, or whether I go to White Dog Distillery here in Middletown, Ohio. Just try and pass along some of the newbie information that I find out along the way, because I won't lie, I am new to this. I still have a long way to go. I still have a lot of learning to do, and from all I know, my nose may never get any better than what it is right now, but I'll just have to be okay with that. So yeah, that's my review of Penelope Rio. Again, I am a huge fan of it, but again, anything that I've seen since it was released, you either love it or hate it. There's literally no in between. If you've tried Penelope Rio, please let me know what you think of it in the comments. I would love to hear about your experiences with it. And also, let me know how I'm doing with these, what else you would like to see. I'm not a very good video editor or anything like that, so they kind of just get, recorded straight up front. So, as always, drink responsibly, and